Hi there, YouTube. Welcome to the October garden tour. I know we didn't do a September garden tour. You're gonna have to excuse my absence. I lost another dog over the past week and it was very difficult and kind of unexpected. Not too unexpected. We knew about a week prior that he was really, really sick. He got diagnosed with cancer and it was just a long battle and yeah, it's just been a lot. But aside from dealing with all that, we've done a lot of decorating, which is what I wanted to show you guys. As you guys can see, we have pumpkins lining the doorsteps. We have a skeleton right here that we have dressed up as a witch. We have two skeletons that we always kind of mix up around the property around Halloween time. And I love that these are posable. We have all of our pumpkins and stuff right here. We grew 90% of these. Only this one, that one, and the white one we didn't grow ourselves. These are actually squashes, like acorn squashes that got overgrown. And we realized that they looked really cute as little mini pumpkins. And then we use squash on this side because I love the way that they get nice and warty. Matt put a zucchini out here. I don't know how long this is gonna last outside, but we're willing to try it just to give an extra color dimension here. We have our pumpkin on a stick over here in the urn, and it's actually putting off new pumpkins, which is exciting. So I think we will have pumpkins on this stick at Halloween time. We have the Happy Halloween sign. This is something that Matt painted at a work event. And then we have our planters that are still doing really, really well. Those are the coleus, and we actually got some canna blooms. Like, look at that, they're red. I mean, it's not much to see now, but it was really, 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 really pretty. And yeah, just coleus, couple cannas still. They didn't bloom on this side because it's a little bit shadier, but I'm really impressed with how these containers have held on. And I love the purple and green. I just think that it like goes right into Halloween time. So I'm really glad that they held on. If you come down here and you line the whole walkway, you'll see that we have mums. These are mums that we planted in the ground 2 years ago, 3 years ago? 3 years ago, yeah, and we did very, very small mums. Like, these were quart-sized mums that we got at the grocery store. We had gotten them during the fall time to display, and we decided just to plant them out to see if they would make it, and every single one made it, and they have at least tripled, if not quadrupled in size. Like, some of these are massive. Like, if we were to dig that up, that's probably like a 2-gallon mum. Which is so, so impressive. And what we do is we just cut them back once during the season in order to make them bloom right around this time. It's a little bit early, but you can't really control that amount of like, when does it bloom, but you can kind of delay your bloom until October, which is really, really nice because this is when people are buying mums and it looks like your mums are just blooming right in the ground. This is our biggest Halloween decoration, the 6 foot tall, or no, that's probably like a 9 foot tall giant ghost. We've had him for a year. This is his 2nd year. I'm hoping he lives for a while because these inflatables we haven't had the best luck with because we are on a corner lot and this corner lot gets a lot of wind, which can rip these very, very easily. We have some ghosts and cats in the tree. We have the skeleton man trying to get his cat up there. And then we have the witch that's hit the tree. Here's what I will say. If you do a pan out to this whole garden bed area, you'll notice that the thing that is really carrying my garden through right now is this Nicotiana. This is my first year growing Nicotiana, and I really did not know that it was gonna hold on this long and look this good. But it has been an amazing plant. I highly recommend everybody to try Nicotiana. I did the watercolor mix for these and I bought them from Select Seed and I grew them all from seed. And I'm just really, really impressed with them. And they all have tons of seed pods on them, which I think I'm gonna be able to save tons of seeds from, which I'm really, really excited about because then I don't have to buy them ever again, hopefully. But our boxwoods are really also carrying us through right now, giving our garden a little bit of structure and making it look like it's still alive, while I feel like a lot of the gardens in my neighborhood are starting to look a little bit downhill if they don't have any type of structure work into their garden. We have the fountain area. Fountain has been running. This fountain has been the easiest fountain ever. Everything about it is so easy to maintain. It holds water for a really, really long time, which is so nice. 2, it's so easy to clean. 3, you don't have to clean it very often. Like, we're cleaning this like once every 3 weeks, which is amazing. And 4, if you come over here, I love the way that it like collects the leaves into the corners of the fountain. It's just the way that this fountain flows. Everything just kind of collects in all 4 corners of the basin, which just keeps the pump clean for a really, really long time. And it just looks pretty. Like, this looks so decorative to me. I don't know, I really, really like the look of the leaves, which I guess I haven't really even talked about the star of the October garden, the honey locust tree. It has started to change the most beautiful golden color ever. And these leaves turn before almost anything else in our neighborhood, which is really nice. It brings in that fall mood before everything else is really starting to change. And I love that the leaves are so small that you don't have to rake them up, and they kind of just land on the ground and look like confetti everywhere. I leave them in the garden beds and they just break down super easily. And I love the way that they collect into the streets as well. Like, I just think that they almost look decorative. It's the prettiest fall leaves ever. And there's just something about leaves that are not too big to where they will just break down and you don't have to like break everything up, if that makes sense. This is just not a messy tree at all. The tidal wave purple petunias lining the corner are holding on for dear life. They put on probably their last little flush of blooms. We'll be ripping these out in the next week or 2, but they are making the whole property smell amazing. It smells like straight up bubble gum in certain areas of our property, and I think it's because of these. I'm also really excited to see that the foxglove, the Dalmatian peach foxglove that I planted, it's throwing up like multiple spires. I didn't know that it would do that, but it's my first year growing foxgloves. They're so pretty. As you guys can see, there's some milkweed that needs to be cut back. It's starting to go to seed, which this goes to seed so readily, so we really need to get on this and rip this out. But that's gonna be kind of a theme that you're gonna see in my garden at around this time, is that everything really needs a nice cutback. I'm right around the point of like really just cutting everything back and calling it like the end of the season. But I'm trying to let some things hold on because there's definitely still some beauty with all this Nicotiana, the couple of petunia blooms. We have some Rudbeckia over here that is doing really, really well. That looks like such a fresh pop of cheer right there. That's the Prairie Sun Rudbeckia. I grew that from seed. We have the Sahara Rudbeckia. Those were also grown from seed, and they like age really, really well. Like, these blooms are really old and they still look really, really good, which is amazing. And they come in all different variations of color, which is nice. As you guys can see up here, the Phantom Hydrangea Standard we planted, I told you guys that it was alive, and as you guys can see, it's starting to put out shoots in a couple of different areas. I'm sure it will put out some more in the springtime, but we'll definitely be doing a heavy pruning on it around then when I see exactly what is dead, because I'm not confident that all of that wood that hasn't sprouted yet is dead. The Gomphrena down here is looking really, really good, and we've kept all the little hydrangeas alive. So this bed is still a success, although the Muscari has come in really, really thick, which I'm gonna leave for the spring. I'm gonna let it bloom because I think it'll be super pretty. I know it will be, it's pretty every single year. But then I think I'm gonna take it out because it just gives a messy look to this bed. And I think we're gonna replant the Muscari bulbs in containers because I think that that would be really, really pretty. As you guys can see, the Nicotiana just looks really, really good still. And then over here we have the Coralberry, which is looking really, really pretty, although it has a really, really intense powdery mildew on it that I really need to treat. Other than that though, the berries are gonna look really, really pretty during the winter time. We have our Barberry. This has completely changed colors since the last time that you've seen it. During the season, this changes colors so drastically. Like, it starts off like a greenish, orangish color, and then it changes to more vibrant green, then it goes into like a burgundy, and then finally it changes into like a bright red color, which you can kind of see that it's starting to change into its final color form. The urn is holding up well up here, the Halloween urn with the frosted explosion grass. We have the black and orange pansies, and then we have a decorative cabbage up in the front. And these cabbages have put on a lot of growth since we have put them in, which I'm so glad that we put them in when we did, because now they look like I purchased something like twice the size of what we actually purchased. More Nicotiana over here. We have our first couple blooms on this grass, which this grass has never bloomed for us. It's been in the ground for 3 years, and it's got these like little spiky heads, which I think look pretty neat. And then we have our gladiolas over here, which I don't think we're gonna get any blooms on them, unfortunately. They were just planted too late. Lesson learned on that, get them in the ground early, don't purchase clearance gladiolas, no matter how good the price is, because you probably can't grow them to maturity in your zone, unless you're like a zone 9 or 10 or something like that. We have our graveyard over here with some skeletal bones that glow in the dark. And then we have our Grim Reaper in the background. There's the spider web with a couple spiders in the web. The planters still look really, really good that we planted up with the orange and purple pansies and violas, the cabbages. I kept the dichondras in there from earlier this season, and they actually held on and look really, really good still. And the purple fountain, or the purple millet grass, purple majesty millet grass, I think is what it's called. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty, and I love that it's putting off so many plumes now. It was just one straight corn dog for the longest time, and now it's a group of corn dogs, so it looks a little bit better. That one is still kind of a solo. It's got one poking out, but it's still kind of a solo. This one is looking more like the picture, and even still, the one in our fountain urn, I'll show you that one, it's got way fuller and it's got tons of plumes on it. The phantom hydrangea tree is holding on really, really well, and it's starting to get pink, which is really, really pretty. It has like a light iridescent pink color to it. The St. John salvia looks really, really good still, and so does the Dusty Miller. I love this planter because when something dies in it, like the back of this, I had to rip this out because it wasn't looking good. You can just switch it so that the street always gets like, you know, a full abundant look, because this looks amazing. This, not so much. So I love that I can rotate these. I learned that this season, where you have to take that down because it's just spent. It's time to rip out the petunias at this point here. And I got the fountain back working, you guys. I used a fountain pump that actually came with the fountain up there on the corner. At that auction, it just had 2 pumps that came with it, and it actually fit this one and works perfectly. And it actually runs from all 3 spouts now. It was only running from 2 with the old pump, so that's a success story. And then we have this big spider up here. You know, he's right on theme, and he has a big like web sack right there, right near the house. I think that that's like right on theme for Halloween. Nice and terrifying story for us, you know. Oh, I'm knocking lights over because he's got lights set up that shine on all the decorations. We have our first clematis bloom on this clematis. This bloom is so pretty. This was tagged multi-blue clematis, so I don't know if there's like another name for it, but that's what it was called, and it's gorgeous. I really like the center of it. The grapevine has made it all the way to the top of the trellis at this point, which is so exciting to see. Snapdragons are still holding on. The urns are still holding on. My melon is still meloning over here. If you see it, it's gotten bigger. I haven't picked it yet. The tendril is dry, but I'm just like trying to give it as much time as possible because the last one, I actually did harvest it and it wasn't ripe all the way through. So I'm trying to wait for like the last minute to harvest this melon because I just want to make sure that it's ripe. These snapdragons look so pretty. The snapdragons look so pretty at this time of year. We harvested a bunch of peppers. That was a jalapeno pepper plant. We have to harvest our celery over here. I'm so excited about this because we grew celery in the other bed as well, but it bolted. And this is our first year growing celery. So I'm excited to try our own homegrown celery. The strawberries have been super prolific. Like we have had dozens of strawberries this season, which is great because we planted these fairly late in the season and this is their first year. We planted them from bare root and I'm just really impressed that we've gotten so many berries from them. The gomphrena is looking amazing. If you guys want to plant something that's just gonna look good all year long, gomphrena is it. Like this looks great for this time of year. Like it probably looks better than it has the whole season, literally. It just keeps getting better and better because it's just getting bigger and bigger and it just looks so fresh. I appreciate things like that at this time of year because everything starts to look spent in the garden. Like literally, October is like death to everything here at least. And it's just nice seeing something that still looks so good. We have those clearance lilies that have come up real thick. I'm so excited about that. They're supposed to be red lilies. Another strawberry bed, which this one has not been so productive, and I think it's because it's in a lot of shade because our neighbor's privet hedge has grown quite tall this season, and I think it's just shading out this bed. I think what we're gonna do is just transition this bed into more shady crops and just transplant these strawberries somewhere else where we can give them a little bit more sun. That planter looks pretty, or at least those violas do. A climbing rose I need to train. Volunteer lettuce. I was meant to tell you about that, Matt. You need to come eat that volunteer lettuce plant. And then we have a Giselle clematis as well with just one bloom. So pretty though. Still waiting on the seed pods from my Princess Kate clematis to dry out so that I can harvest these and try to grow them from seed because I've never grown clematis from seed, but I know you can do it because I saw someone selling clematis seeds. And so now I'm like, okay, start collecting your clematis seeds because that could be fun. The grass pathway still has a couple of things in bloom. Nicotiana, which I guess that's gonna be the drinking word for this video because I feel like that's really what is like holding my garden together at this time of year. The perennial snapdragons are kind of looking a bit spent. They have a couple of little blooms in there, so there's a little bit more color. We have the larkspur, that's adding a little bit of color, that nice purpley blue. These petunias down here have held on really, really well. They look great. That's adding some extra color and scent. We have our weeping Norway spruce, which is looking good. The hibiscus is just about done blooming for the season at this point. This hydrangea, the limelight hydrangea, oh my God, that's so pretty. Like, that pinky color is really, really pretty to me. It almost looks holographic. I am really impressed with that shrub because we had another limelight hydrangea, but I planted it from a plug and I've seen it bloom last year, but the blooms were really small. They were like immature blooms because it was the first year it had ever bloomed. This one was a 3-gallon plant, so I've gotten to see like actual mature limelight blooms, and these are absolutely gorgeous. I totally understand why it's so popular. That dappled willow has put on a ton of growth this year. It is so tall. I'm really excited about that. I trained the climbing rose to the side of the house, so it's not just looking like a big mess anymore. It was looking very wild over here. We have a couple cone flowers in bloom. That's really pretty. We also have a delphinium in bloom back there. That's gorgeous. We have some daisies in bloom, just a couple that have come out from our cut back. But you can see all those leaves that have come out, and I cut those down to the ground. This weeping Alaskan cedar has put on at least, okay, because from here to here is all new growth. So that's at least 2 feet of growth. And it's done that all the way around. Like it's done it on this side, on this side. Every single branch has about 2 feet of new, fresh growth on it. So I'm so excited that it loves its spot so much. And I'm really loving the color that it gives to this area and extra privacy, because this area is going to be retooled next year completely. I've just noticed that we have so much more parking on our street than when we first moved in, right here next to the house. And that's just not what I want to see when I'm looking out of the windows from my house. So I'm thinking we're going to do a lot more evergreen trees on this side, really pack this out and make this a lot more private. In truth, I think I'll just like this space a lot more with a lot more privacy. I feel like I'm on a platform here because we're up on a hill. And so I just feel like adding a couple of trees here will just add a bit more privacy to this walkway and make it a bit more of an enjoyable area to garden in.
I love your decorations.
Thank you so much.
They make you smile.
Thank you. We have some feverfew right here that's blooming for the second time after the cutback. And you can see there's some buds, so we should have quite a bit of feverfew actually in a bit. We have our Roseanne geranium. It still has a couple of blooms on it. The smoke bush is looking really, really good. I seriously think I'm gonna make that a smoke bush standard because it just looks like it needs to be a tree. Still need to divide that massive heuchera. My goodness, it's big. Every single time I walk by it, I swear it just gets like half an inch bigger or something like that. And it just like every single time I'm like, it's just taking over. I've got to divide it because that would be so pretty and like a drift and to like take up this space. This bloodgood Japanese maple looks really, really pretty. I guess we can go around this side. Sage still looks good and oregano still looks good. Well, oregano looks a little bit more spent, but the sage looks amazing. Like that looks so, so good. Plant sage in your garden and plant it outside where people can see it because it's so pretty. It really, really is. The urns flanking the walkway have really filled in, as you can see. Like, look how big the viola plant is, how big that decorative cabbage is, how big that viola is. And I added no fertilizer to these at all. I just planted straight in what we were already had here, and they're doing really good. But in the fall time, I really feel like you don't have to do that because these plants aren't doing too much growing. I mean, normally they're not. Mine, I feel like, have at least doubled in size. But I feel like I don't really fertilize in the fall just because the plants just aren't in the container for very long. I don't feel like they even have enough time to really like take in that fertilizer unless it's like an instant fertilizer, which I did do that once. I will say that. I did go around and do a Miracle Grow fertilizer on all of my decorative fall containers just to give them a little boost. And I think that it worked. We have ghosts up here, and then we have floating candles in the elm tree, which we turn on at nighttime, and that looks really, really neat. This bed, there's not really too much to see. The redbud trees have all grown really, really big. The aspen tree, I'm really, really, I don't know, I'm debating taking it out because it's already looking a little bit like drought stressed, and I have drip on this. I also know that they're just not the best trees for my area from what I've heard. And I just feel like I could be like potentially saving myself money later on down the road by taking this out. And I got it for like super cheap. This thing was like $10 on clearance at Walmart. I'm still not 100% sure if I'm gonna take it out or not. It's one of those things. I really am debating also taking out this elm tree because it has some more death in it. I don't know if we can show you. the death in it, but this tree has to be treated literally every single year because it is not resistant to Dutch elm disease, and it gets attacked by beetles every single year, and it costs about $160 a year to treat it. And now we have this new section that has died out, and there's another 2 sections which we can't even show you because they're so high up in the tree from at least this side. I think we can show them to you maybe when we go to the backyard I can see it. But there's 3 very, very large areas of this tree that have died out, and I'm just concerned that it's like starting to die. It also had some oozing slime flux ooze that was coming out of the trunk, and I don't know. I think that it might be the time to finally take it out. It's really, really sad because it's grown a ton since being here, and it adds such structure to the property and such privacy right here. But I don't know if it's financially worth dumping money into this tree that I also feel like I'm having to chop tons of dead out of it too. That's gonna be an expense, having somebody come out to like chop all that out. And it's starting to become a really expensive tree to maintain, and it's only gonna decline. Like there's just no way for it to like fully recover. I feel like we're just putting a Band-Aid on it by pumping it with systemic every single season. So I don't know. We're really debating on that. And really thinking about putting some money into the side of this house and really buying some more mature trees to add privacy to this area over here along the side of the home across from the school, but also take care of this one and maybe add something that will give us some type of structure here because it will be so sad to see it go. I love walking underneath it too. It's such a pretty tree. It's such a pretty tree, and it's not anything I would have ever picked out myself, but I've grown really, really attached to it, and I love the way that it weeps down. I love the fact that it's over like the pathways the way that it is, but I'm not 100% sure. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you would do, because I know that it's like such a mature tree and that it's really hard to find mature elm trees in our area because they all get taken out by this Dutch elm disease. So I know that it's kind of like a prize specimen, but I just don't know if it's worth the money every single year when I can just add something else and then never have to dump any money into it ever again, really. You know, maybe an evergreen. And that would give us privacy year round. This border, everything has been chopped back pretty much. The Rudbeckia, there's a couple blooms on. There's a little bit of bloom on that Veronica. There's a little bit of bloom on the Agastache. We have some yarrow in bloom. I don't know why none of my dianthus have bloomed. I have tons of dianthus planted on this side of the home. I guess it's because it's on the north side. Maybe we just don't get enough sun, but it's just kind of weird because we also have things like coneflowers that do really well, and yarrow and Rudbeckia, and those things all need full sun. And I know that this area is not super shady, so I just don't understand why our dianthus never blooms. Maybe I need to fertilize it really heavily or something. I don't know. It's still pretty because of the blue-green leaves, but no blooms. The plumes on the frosted explosion grass looks really nice and autumnal. The arborvitae looks amazing. I feel like I point that out every single time because these were looking really scraggly when we first purchased them, and they were tiny, very small. Flamethrower redbud is looking absolutely amazing, and it has put on at least 2 feet of growth this season, which is awesome. And it's only its second year in the ground, so it's left a little early, which I'm kind of excited about because this is a specimen. And yeah, I think that this is the most expensive tree we've purchased for the property. I really do. I think that it is. And so like, I'm like really like, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. Don't want to replace that. We have our first Kniphofia bloom. I planted those Kniphophias with you guys, the hot pokers. I think that one's the mango hot poker by Monrovia. Salvia has a couple of blooms on it. This pink petunia is doing well as well. I think that's the original pink wave petunia. We have some delphiniums. Thank you. Delphiniums. Sometimes it just like slips your mind. Even though you know the name of it, you're like, It's like seeing a person that you know, but you forgot their name. That's literally how I feel when I forget a name of a plant. Our wisteria is starting to change color. It has bright yellow fall color. I don't think I've ever noticed that on that before, but I mean, obviously it does it every year. This grass is absolutely gorgeous. I love the plumes on it. Wish I knew the name of it, but I don't. But it's really, really pretty. I wish it was also pulled out a little bit, but there's not much I can do about that other than digging it up, and I don't want to do that because it's doing really well. Rudbeckia still looks pretty good. And then what once was basically a photo shoot area now looks like the side of like a war zone or something like that. It looks terrible. Like it looks horrible. We need to cut all this back. It was flopped into the street, so it looked a lot worse than it does right now. But we've cut back everything that was in the street just to be courteous, but we need to get out here and cut this back because it looks terrible, and it looks terrible from inside the garden as well because you can see these over the fence line. Yeah. And then Matt still has his pumpkin plants out here. Do they still have pumpkins on them?
There's one.
Oh, yeah. But we've harvested a couple that was up there, so it's done its job. Over here in the courtyard area, I just have to show off a couple things. First off, the Dusty Miller, it's taken over the entire bed. Like, it's fully taken over the entire bed. I planted 2 small quart-sized containers over here in this corner, and it's now from there, all the way at that end, all the way over to here. So just keep that in mind if you're planting Dusty Miller. It's really pretty, but it's super aggressive. If you have a lot of space you need to cover, plant this, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dig this up, divide it, and plant it in some areas where I feel like I have some gaps, particularly out there. I think it'll be perfect and add like just an extra color, and I love that it's soft. I love anything that is soft. Not Dusty Miller, lamb's ear. Anyways, we have this Japanese maple that has put on a ton of growth. Like, all of that is new growth from this season. And this is newly planted this year. And this is the straight species Japanese maple. So it's just the regular green Japanese maple, but it's doing really, really well in its spot, which I'm really excited about. Because Japanese maples are kind of hit or miss here in Colorado. Like, you kind of have to give them a lot of protection and site them in an area where they're just like, it's just right almost. It seems like it's almost like a game of luck trying to plant them here. It's not luck, but you have to have a bit of strategy. They definitely want some shelter. We have this volunteer hollyhock, which is so pretty. Like, look at that bloom. And to see that this late in the season is just like stunning to me. And then we have our sensation honeysuckle over here, which it's put on a ton of red berries this season. I'm so enamored with the red berries. It put on red berries last year, but it was not near the amount that it has this year. But it also wasn't nearly as big last year either, so it makes sense. But I think that this will be so pretty during the winter time when it loses most of its leaves and it just keeps those red berries. Dahlias are still doing very well. I finally trained this climbing rose as well, the Kiss Me Kate rose. It's now attached to the house. Fountain urn is pretty spent at this point. You can see that purple majesty millet up at the top, has a ton of plumes on it. It's looking pretty good. It's dry, but it's looking pretty good. Arborvitaes are all looking amazing still. We've had very, very, very little needle drop. Like, you can actually see there's just a couple of needles. Like, there's one there, but it really hasn't dropped many needles at all, which I'm really, really impressed with, seeing as it's their first season, and I'm just waiting for them to go into shock, and they just aren't doing it. So I guess they're just not gonna go into shock, which is a good thing, I guess. Rose garden is looking pretty good. That rose has never been that tall before. It has never bloomed over the fence line like this. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. It's kind of crazy to see stems that tall though, and to see them like freestanding like that. Like, I've watched a ton of videos of people like with roses, very few have I seen like have shrub roses that look like this tall. I'm not sure how old this rose or how long this has been here because it was planted by the previous owner, but I absolutely love it. And it blooms like 3 or 4 times during the season. And I don't really have to do much to it. I just literally chop it back heavily every single year because it will just outgrow this entire space, I feel like, if I let it. But yeah, it's looking really, really good. That rose was also given to us by the, well, it wasn't given to us, it was planted here by the previous owner. We have the Desdemona rose here. It's looking so pretty. It's looking more and more like the picture with those deeply cupped blooms. I just think that that is so, so pretty. And they smell amazing. And then we have the Olivia Rose Austin right here. These are a little bit more blown open, but it is what it is. It's still super pretty. I think this boxwood hedge on this side is just gonna have to go. I never added the compost to it like I was supposed to. We just had a lot going on with the death of Oliver and just never got around to that. I just need to like rip them out and put new ones in to make this area feel fresh because this whole corner just looks so, so, so good. It looks like exactly what I wanted in my mind. And then I look over to this side and I'm like, yeah. The morning glory has done really, really well. You can see that it's closed up. I love looking at them when they're closed up at nighttime, just as much as I love seeing them open up during the daytime. Morning glories are such a neat plant. Dahlia's over here still doing really well. That Eden Rose, we pruned that heavily and trained it a month ago, maybe. It was literally maybe 4 weeks ago, and it's put on so much new growth. It's actually come off the building too. I need to train that cane because we had that attached and now it's off the building. Before winter comes in, it gets demolished by a heavy snow load. The Dahlia field has been the best thing that I've ever done. It is so, so gratifying looking out of my kitchen window and seeing so much color so late in the season. I cannot believe that it's October and that my yard looks like this. It's absolutely amazing. And I have not been cutting on it as much as I probably should have. I was really heavy cutting on it for a while, but once Oliver passed, I just kind of stopped cutting, and it's kind of been a blessing in disguise because I feel like I have a ton of things going to seed. Like, look at all these seed pods. Like, I have tons and tons of dried seed pods on these, so I'm gonna collect tons and tons of seed, and I cannot wait to see what comes out of this patch because there was so much beauty in here. In fact, there were a couple things that were late bloomers that I haven't even gotten to show you guys. First off, there's this one. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? I love the wild eyelashes on it. And the color is really, really pretty. And it's pretty also on the back as well. I really like dahlias that are pretty on both sides. If I go through here, which it's a very tight squeeze, I think you're gonna have to come in too. Look at that. What the heck? Y'all, size comparison. Here's my hand. I don't have like small hands. This is massive. I'm absolutely shocked. I don't know where this came from because we did not purchase any red dahlias at all. And I definitely didn't purchase any this big either. I'm like, wow, so, so pretty though. We also had something else show up in the patch. Oh yeah, this one. It has like white on it. It may be the same plant. I'm not quite sure because I'm also seeing some solid ones like down in here as well. So this may all be the same plant. I don't know. I can't tell. I've really got to come through and tag everything because things have just like leaned over on each other and I can't really tell where things are. and it's gonna be really hard to dig up tubers and keep them identified because everything is like so close together. I planted a little bit too close and just really did not have faith that these would get as big as they did, but they really, truly did get so, so big. But it is absolutely beautiful, and it feels magical in here. It truly, truly does. Yeah, and this one has really developed out to be something super special. Like, look at that. And that's from seed. That was from Florette's Bee's Choice Mix, I think. Super excited to save this one. Hydrangea still looks good. The Incredible hydrangea. It's dried. This is how it's gonna look pretty much the rest of the season until it really browns out in the winter time. But couldn't be happier with this. It is showing a bit of chlorosis too, but it is so late in the season that I'm probably not gonna treat that because there's no point. This thing is gonna go dormant any minute now. If you come back here, the marigolds are absolutely gorgeous. Like, look at this one. Look at this. This is like what dreams are made of this time of year. Like, I have debated digging them up and putting them in the front because they're that pretty. Like, I just feel like if I were at a garden center and I saw this in a pot, I would be like sold. Like, I just have to plant, like put one in each of the pots by my front door and it would look gorgeous. So I'm debating pulling them up because they look so, so good. And I think I could get them to transplant. This one, you can see that the alyssum has really bloomed out and still looks really good. This okra, Matthew, we are never planting this much okra again. He's the only one who even eats okra. I knew when he said that he wanted to plant this much okra, I was like, that's too much, like just do one row. And he wanted 2 rows, so I let him do 2 rows. First off, they're way too close to the path. They make me itchy. They literally make me itchy every single time I harvest from them. I'm so itchy, I don't know why. And they're getting so tall that like, I had to harvest an okra from up here yesterday, which is not the easiest thing to do. And they just keep producing, like they produce so much okra. Like, I swear we have 4 or 5 gallon sized bags filled with okra. And it's still gonna produce at least another 2 batches probably before it's dead. Never again. The scabiosa bloomed for the first time. So pretty. I think that one is the Fama White Scabiosa, and it's perennial. So these will come back every single year, which will be super pretty. The Pride of Gibraltar, these are volunteer plants. There's one here, there's one there, which is actually bloomed. You guys can see the pretty blue, purplish blooms on them. I really like the color of the leaves too, the blue-green color. And then we have one over there. And they're literally volunteers. I had Pride of Gibraltar planted in these containers last year, and I guess they dropped seed, and now I have like this beautiful little field of Pride of Gibraltar. We have the Precious Metals zinnias right here by Florette. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? That is like the most stunning flower I've ever seen in my life. I love the ombre color where it like shifts to a bit of pink. It's so big, it's so full. They're so pretty. Here's another really big one. It's not as well formed, but it's so massive. Like, you can truly see the potential for this variety. It's really nice. This volunteer Snapdragon looks really, really good this time of year. We have some straw flower. It still looks great. I mean, it's an everlasting flower, so it'll look great until winter, through winter. We have the Zinderella lilac zinnias. None of them are doubled, but they're still pretty nonetheless. And then we have the painted daisy. These are really, really pretty. They took a while to flesh out, because I mean, like, I planted those May 15th into the garden, and they're just now starting to bloom. And then we have a ton of peppers still to harvest. There's a tomato plant still going for it. And then we have a calendula plant back there too, a little volunteer calendula plant. It looks really, really good at this time of year. I officially can say I will never plant 3 cherry tomato plants together ever again. I was pretty resistant about it earlier this season. I saw it was getting big and I was like, I don't care, I'll do it again. I do what I want. Like I want 3 color tomatoes, then we're gonna have all 3. No, and I don't even need all 3 colors. I'll say that too. This has had more cherry tomatoes than I've known what to do with. They are so time consuming to harvest because they are tiny. They don't last very long, like on the shelf compared to a regular tomato. Like I feel like they don't last as long. And I have to process them really, really fast. Like if I'm gonna like save them, I just basically like have to wash them and freeze them almost instantly because if not, they end up going bad. They're really tasty and we use them and they're a nice filler tomato as well. Like I'll just add a couple into like a sauce or something like that if I need to bulk up a recipe. But I don't need this many plants. All of our tomato plants over here did really, really well though. I've been really impressed and I've been making tons of salsa. I've made tomato sauce, I've made diced tomatoes. I don't think we'll have to purchase, any tomato product this year except for maybe pasta and pizza sauce because I don't make my own of that yet, but I will get there. This marigold container is starting to look pretty spent. All it really needs is a bit of a deadheading and it would flesh back out with nice fresh blooms. I'm just a little bit too done with the season to do that, if that makes sense. And all of the tidal wave purple petunias in the urns don't look very good except for this one. This one has had like a second coming. It was looking really bare in the center and then the center just plopped out a bunch of new growth and now it looks like super full and pretty. So that's nice. The loofah plant back there has not produced any loofahs, I don't think, but the vine is still there. So I'm just leaving it. It just adds a little bit of decorative interest, I guess. Volunteer white snapdragons look good. And then this container has held on pretty good for it being so late in the season. We have the Nicotiana. Oh my gosh. Nasturtiums. We have the nasturtiums right here. They're looking really pretty and actually have a couple blooms in them. We have the canna leaves and actually there's a canna bloom coming in and it looks like that one's gonna be yellow or orange, which is different than up front. And then we have these ornamental peppers. They have held on very, very well as well. And I grew those from seed, so I think I'm gonna grow a bunch of those from seed next year and do something like really wildly different with my containers up in the front involving peppers. I really think I'm gonna do a lot of peppers next year. The St. John Salvia has been a winner for us this season. It has bloomed so heavily. It's been so pretty. It's so different than what I see anybody else in our neighborhood plants, which I love because I love having things that are just like different, things that make people ask questions like, what is that? This is definitely one of those things. I literally purchased 3 seed packets of it because I was like, I need this and I need this forever. So we're growing tons of that next year. We have some squash plants that need to be taken out, some sunflowers that need to be taken out. We have some zinnias over here as well that are looking pretty, in particular this one. Like, look how big. Like, stop it. Like, you guys, I've grown zinnias for a long, long time. For years, I've grown zinnias, and I've never seen anything like these. It's so amazing. I cannot wait to cut that one and make a special bouquet with it. I need to save seeds from this purple auric that we grew from seed. This actually volunteered here from last year's ones that I grew from seed, and they got to be so much more massive than anything I grew that first year, but there's tons of seeds here, so I definitely need to harvest these before anything gets to them. And then we have more squash plants that need to be taken out. We have tons of green beans in the green bean field, and we have some peas back there. The green beans have done very well for us. We have tons of green beans frozen to eat over the year, which I'm really excited about because I like the green beans that we grow way better than the ones from the grocery store. And I'm not like that with a lot of things. Like, I feel like everyone says like, oh my God, my homegrown blank is so much better than what it is at the store. And You know, I've tried a lot of things in my garden and I'm like, no, it's about the same, or like, you know, it's close to other things that I could purchase. This is not like that. Anytime I go to the store, no matter if I buy fresh green beans, no matter if I buy frozen green beans, no matter if I buy canned green beans, they never taste anything like my Blue Lake bush beans that I grow at home. I literally eat these like they're candy. There's something about them that I love. And they're definitely different than anything you can purchase in the store. They're probably the same variety that they are using in the store, but something about storing green beans makes them not as tasty. I don't know what it is. And then we have this area back here, which is just an absolute weedy, powdery mildew mess. This is like my nightmare. Like literally, come look at this. All this bindweed back here that has powdery mildew is literally my nightmare. First, it's bindweed, and second, it has powdery mildew. So basically, it's gonna give me like an allergy infection when I pull it, and also, it's probably gonna come right back because we've let it sit here for so long and develop and just take hold. I seriously think that the only thing that I can do in this area is either intensely spray it, which I do not want to do, or cover it in landscape fabric at least for a year or two to let all these weed seeds really just like dry out. I think that that's what we're gonna do is cover this in landscape fabric, clear it, and just mulch it over, at least for now, until we figure out what exactly I wanna plant in this space. But at least the celosia does look pretty. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I guess that's the end of it, right? No, there's one more thing I wanna show. There is one more thing I wanna show. Well, first off, the pear tree, look, it's changing colors. Look at the red leaves. So pretty. But that wasn't what I wanted to show you. Also, we did harvest peaches from this peach tree. The peaches were actually edible. We actually can use them for baking. They're not really great for like fresh eating, but they also didn't get fully ripe. I don't know if that's because this tree maybe like the fruit ripens too late for this zone or what, but they got very, very massive. There's still a couple peaches on the tree. This one's small. Oh my gosh, but it smells so good. But this is about the ripeness that we got them to. They're just green, but they did get butts on them. Some of them were a bit bigger than this, but they're all soft and it smells so good. I know, I'm just smelling it. See, and then that's what the inside looked like. It looked a little green, but basically what I did was I put these in a paper bag. I let them ripen as much as they could inside the paper bag, because if you put peaches in a paper bag and you close it, the peaches produce ethylene gas, which basically enhances the ripening process. It like makes it happen a lot faster. And so we did that. They got super soft. They were hard when I picked them. They got super soft, and then I put them in the window for just like a day or two, and they got like just slightly a bit more colored, not very much. And then we just chopped them and froze them up. And then I noticed that in the freezer, they actually got even more deep orange, which is weird to me, but they did. So I think that it's gonna be riper. I haven't baked with them yet, but I did eat a whole peach, and it was pretty good. It wasn't the best peach I've ever had, but for it being a rootstock grown tree that we just let grow from the base, I'm pretty happy with it. I think we're gonna prune it though, because it has gotten really, really, really big. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you guys was this Coral Crush tidal wave petunia, because I just think that this is a testament to the tidal wave petunia. This performed so well. It is in the tiniest window box. Like if you come over here, you can see the size of the window box. There are 3 Coral Crush tidal wave petunias in here. I planted these, or grew these from seed. And I'm just so impressed that it looks like this in October. And I'm not a huge fertilizer. I fertilized this maybe once or twice with a liquid fertilizer during the season. And then it got Osmocote at the very beginning of the season, which is just a granular fertilizer, which lasts pretty much the whole growing season, or at least it's supposed to. I tend to notice that I have to at least hit my containers once or twice with a liquid fertilizer towards the end, because it does start to get a little spent. But this looks absolutely amazing. Very, very impressed with the performance and just how many blooms there are. Like, it is just covered in bloom. So definitely check out the Coral Crush tidal wave petunia, because it's a winner, and I'll definitely be growing it again. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what was your favorite part of this tour, what you thought looked good. And let me know what's looking good in your garden, because I'm always looking for inspiration of things to add in this later part of the season to just give a little bit of extra interest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys around for whatever video I come up with for next time. Bye, guys.